So welcome to our Exercise Basics webinar. Most of us know that being physically active can help improve and maintain the health of our bodies as we literally move through the stages of our lives. Exercise improves our physical fitness and mental well-being, while also reducing the risk of many chronic diseases, including heart disease, high blood pressure, stroke, depression, anxiety, Alzheimer's disease, and even osteoporosis. So according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, only about 26% of men and 19% of women currently meet the aerobic and muscle strengthening exercise recommendations that come from the U.S. Physical Activity Guidelines. Again, that number is 26% of men and 19% of women. As a whole, inactivity contributes to $117 billion in healthcare costs in America each year. So no matter where we are in our fitness journey, we can control our movement throughout the day and gradually make changes to move closer to the weekly physical activity recommendations. Everybody has to start somewhere, right? Including myself, and no change is too small. Any increase in activity can make a difference. So at one point in our lives, exercise was new to all of us. And that may have been when we were a child, maybe we first started playing sports for the first time, or maybe it is as we are getting older and we're trying to fit in movement into our daily work, eat, sleep routine. As anyone who's started a new exercise routine knows, it can take a little bit of time for your body to adjust and get used to your habits and the activities that you're doing. But it is possible to get there and even learn to enjoy and sometimes even crave that movement. So just as a note, we would love for anyone to consult their doctor before beginning any physical activity or exercise routine. So a little bit about myself. My name is Liz Stretch, and I am the program manager for the Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Center. So again, for some of you joining, my face and voice may be familiar. For some, may be brand new. But I am actually a fitness specialist as well as a nutritionist, excuse me. So I'm very well versed in exercise science and physiology there. In today's seminar, we're going to introduce what we consider the basics of exercise and creating a lasting routine. So even if you are a seasoned exerciser, it can be helpful to review what we already know, kind of thinking back to the basics, and hopefully you will learn a few new tips and tricks along the way. We'll talk about how exercise benefits the body as well as the mind, how to start and restart an exercise routine, including what guidelines we suggest for the average adult, and how to stay consistent over time. Finally, you'll have some time to kind of brainstorm what a realistic exercise plan could look like for you right now at this current point in your fitness journey. So before we get started, we're going to make sure that we are all on the same page with what counts as exercise. So for those of you who have joined a webinar before, we do have an interactive poll. So I'm launching that now, so you'll see a poll pop up on your screen, and we would love for you to select the best guess. Which of the following activities count as exercise? A, walking to your car. I see some votes coming in here. B, playing tennis. C, following a 15-minute yoga video. D, running a 5K. Or E, all of the above. Wonderful, and I see the vast majority of us have voted, so I'm going to go ahead and close that poll. So that was wonderful. Just 100% of us said once that E, all of the above, count as exercise, and that is correct. It was a kind of an easy one here. But all of these activities, no matter how long or short or the intensity, they all count as exercise. The walk through your car may be short, and the 15-minute yoga video may be brief, but at any time we don't spend being inactive or sedentary, that can benefit our health and well-being. Any activity that allows us to move our major muscle groups counts towards our daily exercise goal. So you might hear the terms physical activity and exercise being thrown a lot kind of in the same context. However, there's actually a slight distinction, and we're going to make sure that we are aware of that. So physical activity is any movement done in addition to your baseline daily activity. Anytime you contract your muscles to move more than your baseline level, that is considered physical activity. Like you would, if you sat around all day the house, that is considered your baseline physical activity. Okay, so oftentimes this is, kind of cooking, what we consider leisurely activities, so maybe just getting up and walking around the house to do stuff. However, exercise is a form of physical activity that is planned, structured, repetitive, and performed with the goal of improving health or fitness. So all exercise is considered to be physical activity. However, not all physical activity is considered to be exercise. For example, cleaning the kitchen would be considered physical activity, since you're moving your muscles a bit more than usual, but it would not be considered exercise since it is not structured or performed with the goal of improving our physical health. If we intentionally park the car further away so we can have a longer walk to or from work or wherever we're going, that would be considered exercise since it is planned and has the goal of improving health. We'll be focusing primarily on exercise or planned movement today, but being active throughout natural movement, again, things like cleaning, gardening, construction projects, etc. These could be a great goal if that's what we're ready for in the moment. So does anybody know why we should be making an effort to exercise regularly? Start thinking about that question, right? What are some of the reasons why our healthcare providers encourage us to exercise? So some of these reasons could be to decrease risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, decrease our blood pressure or cholesterol, improve functional abilities or mobilities, such as caring for ourselves, improve brain health, build strength, maybe even to reduce risk of falls. We're going to take a deeper look at these and other benefits of exercise. So as we already said, every little bit of movement counts and is better than not being active at all. You can see the benefits from even the slightest increase in activity levels, such as walking for 10 minutes per day when you previously didn't walk at all. However, additional health benefits occur as the amount of intensity of physical activity increases. In the short term, if you've been doing your routine for less than 6 months, benefits that you might receive from exercise include improved muscular strength, improved bone health, improved biometrics such as blood pressure, blood cholesterol, blood sugar, improved sleep quality, improved self-esteem or confidence, and improved energy levels, and that can impact our productivity both at work and at home. Regular exercise can also help us to relieve stress, reduce anxiety and tension, and experience less smoking withdrawal symptoms if we're trying to quit. Exercise can enrich our lives by allowing us to spend time with others. We're looking at that social component. So for example, if being part of a sports team, you're able to interact with others, walking to catch up with a friend, or even taking an exercise class with a family member. Be a great source of fun in our lives. Additionally, outdoor exercise can help us to enjoy the relaxing benefits of nature and fresh air. The feel-good endorphins that exercise causes our bodies to release boost our mind and make us feel happier. Over time, the benefits of regular physical activity continue to grow. You'll still get the short-term benefits that we just talked about, but you'll start to experience some of the longer-term benefits as well. In the long term, exercise helps our brains to function better and helps us to better manage our weight, stay physically fit, thinking strong muscles and bones, and helps prevent falls as we age. It also decreases the risk of many chronic diseases that can impact our quality of life, including heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, dementia, certain cancers, and depression. So based on these known benefits and the risks of being physically inactive, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services developed these recommendations for physical activity. The physical activity guidelines are intended to help keep individuals active and prevent chronic disease and maintain health over time. So the physical activity guidelines state that at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity activity is recommended per week. This can be distributed throughout the week in whatever way works best for you. So many people choose to aim for 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise over 5 days per week, or 25 minutes of vigorous intensity activity over 3 days per week. We'll go over what counts as moderate and vigorous activity in a little bit more detail in the next few slides. The physical activity guidelines also recommend total body strength training at least 2 times per week. Strength training helps us to maintain our muscular strength as we age or as we lose weight, and it also helps to keep our bones and joints healthy and strong. When performing strength building exercises, it is recommended that you choose a weight or resistance that allows you to do 1 to 3 sets or rounds of 8 to 12 repetitions at a time. As the exercises get easier, you can start to increase sets, repetitions, or weight to mix it up and to continue building strength. To learn which types of activities learn which types of exercises count towards which form of activity, we're going to play a little bit of a sorting game here. So each activity can be considered muscle strengthening, aerobic, or both. So we're going to kind of go through the list here, and anyone is welcome to respond, again, utilizing the chat or question feature there if they would like to take a gamble at any of these, for which activity would it fall under. So for weightlifting, again, if you have any guesses, your 3 categories are aerobic, muscle strengthening, or both. So primarily, weightlifting is considered a muscle strengthening activity. Going across the top there, we have dancing next. Again, primarily, dancing is going to be considered an aerobic activity. Yes, we do see a lot of crossover with some of these activities, but we're trying to think of what the primary benefit will be. Bodyweight exercises, this will be primarily a muscle strengthening activity. And same with resistance bands. These will also be a muscle strengthening activity. Hitting that middle row there, power yoga. This is a very kind of up and coming popular trend here. And this is actually considered to be a strength training, so muscle strengthening activity. Water aerobics. This is actually considered to be both a muscle strengthening as well as an aerobic activity. Hiking. Hiking is mainly considered an anaerobic activity. And then Pilates, similar to power yoga, this will be considered a muscle strengthening activity. Shoveling snow, this is actually going to be considered both muscle strengthening and aerobic. I know that we're kind of coming out of the season for snow shoveling there, but this can also be applied to yard work, so we're thinking raking, heavy gardening, or landscaping. That can all be considered muscle strengthening and aerobic activity. And then finally, the last 2 here, running and sports, would both be considered primarily aerobic activities. Again, we see a lot of crossover with some of these, but primarily we can categorize them in one of those 2. And as you can see, muscle strengthening doesn't just mean lifting weights. We're trying to break out of that mindset that we have to spend time in the gym here. So if you don't enjoy being in the weight room, there are other options for you. We can still build strength by doing calisthenics or body weight exercises, using resistance bands, again, practicing that power yoga or Pilates, or even doing household or yard work there. You can even add more aerobic benefits to some of those weight training by decreasing the rest time, so allowing yourself to just kind of increase that heart rate there by continuously moving through your reps and sets. So as we saw, the guidelines for aerobic exercise differ depending on whether you're exercising moderately or vigorously. So we're going to kind of walk through what both of those mean next. Moderate intensity activities include walking, shooting hoops, climbing the stairs, or playing touch football. General household chores such as gardening, washing a car, raking the leaves, shoveling snow, these can all also count as moderate intensity activities. For vigorous intensity activities, this can include running, swimming laps, jumping rope, or even hiking, heavy gardening such as digging, landscaping, and some of those more intense yard work or household chores count as vigorous activity. And again, these can all kind of be categorized differently based on the individual, but this is just a general guideline. So what about light intensity activity? It still counts as physical activity for sure, but while moderate to vigorous intensity is recommended for greater health benefits, light intensity will still provide benefits in compared to no exercise at all. So it can still help reduce our risk of mortality and heart disease, and can be a good first step of physical activity if that's where you are. So physical activity is new to you. Examples of some light intensity activity could include slow walking, cooking, I know I mentioned that earlier, light household chores, maybe laundry, etc. Stretching, so we're just doing some gentle stretching, and some other forms of exercise such as Hatha yoga, which is a more meditative type of yoga, or even Tai Chi. So again, thinking about the intensity level, when we talk about intensity level, we're primarily focusing on our heart rate. So we think about Tai Chi and some of the slower types of yoga, our heart rate doesn't really get up there too high. So although the main focus of the physical activity guidelines is anaerobic exercise and strength training, it's also important to devote time to stretching. Stretching does not necessarily count towards our daily physical activity goals as it is considered light intensity, but it does keep our muscles flexible and healthy. I know we just covered light intensity activity in the last slide. Again, it doesn't count towards that 150 minutes, but it's a good starting spot if you're new to exercise. Stretching helps maintain range of motion of each individual joint. So our body can move properly, and it also helps us avoid falls as we age. When we start a stretching routine, it's important to keep in mind that it takes time to improve our flexibility and mobility, and sometimes this happens over months. However, over time, the benefits will be worth it. So what stretching practices should we keep in mind as we first get started? Most importantly, number one is make sure that we are warmed up before we stretch. So even if it is just a light 5 to 10 minute warm up, that works. Stretching cold muscles can cause injury since there's not enough blood flow yet to the area to allow that muscle tissue to stretch comfortably. So thinking about starting your car on a cold day. For static stretching, that means that we hold a stretch for anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds. We want to aim to feel tension, but not pain. If you experience any pain, stop, stretch immediately, and try to talk to your healthcare provider to see what is going on. We aim to stretch 3 to 4 times per week and try to, stretch preferably after physical activity when your muscles are already warm. If you do want to stretch before you start a physical activity, choose dynamic stretching, which is more movement-based stretches that help warm up the muscles. Things like this could be considered marching in place, side lunges, or cat-cow pose if you're familiar with yoga. So before we move on, we're going to take a quick stretch break. And I know it may feel a little bit silly, but I'm going to do it as well. So if this is something you think you can do on your own throughout the workday, great. But just 5 or 10 minutes can make a difference. So if you feel comfortable joining and are physically able to stretch, and follow along, we'll hold each stretch for a little bit and then modify as needed as your ability or mobility dictates. So go ahead and sit up nice and straight and keeping your feet flat on the floor. Your hands are resting either on your thighs or on your armrest if you're arm resting in chairs. And we're just going to start simply by starting with some shoulder rolls. So we're doing more of a dynamic stretch right now because we're doing more movement-based. But we're just going to start by doing some shoulder rolls, bringing your shoulders up towards your ears and then back down along your shoulder blades there, bringing those shoulders up and around. Again, just some nice gentle movement here. Just some gentle movement here. And let's go ahead and switch directions. So we'll bring those shoulders the other way. If you're going forward, go backwards. If you're going backwards, bring those shoulders forward. And then come to a comfortable resting position. Next, we're just going to be doing some head rolls, neck rolls. So again, whatever is comfortable for you. We'll gently start to roll, tucking that chin forward, rolling that head around to one shoulder, back, and then to the other shoulder. Rolling that head down, around, and back. Wonderful. Keep that going. And switch directions if you're ready. Rolling the chin down to the chest, around, and then back. And when you're comfortable, come back to neutral spine. We're just going to pause here. Is anyone having technical difficulties seeing the screen? Wonderful. It sounds like we're doing okay. All right, so we'll continue on then. So we've talked about the benefits of exercise and how much is needed to provide these benefits. But we've probably noticed that we haven't suggested any specific exercises or heart rate ranges or anything just yet. And that's because there's no one way to exercise that is best for everyone. Exercise can look different for everyone, and no activity is right for everyone. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Further, not everyone enjoys all exercise activities. We all have different physical limitations, different interests, etc. What we see in the media may not be appropriate or look enjoyable for us, so keep that in mind when you're considering starting an exercise plan. Try to choose types of movements that make your body feel good and possibly positively challenge you. Always, best rule of thumb is to listen to your body, to know your body best. So if you've decided to start exercising or increase the intensity of your exercise routine, these next few slides are for you. We're going to talk about what some of your first steps should be when it comes to setting up a safe and effective exercise routine. So you'll see here, we're going to talk about the 4 different parts of starting a lasting exercise routine. Think safety first, finding motivation, how can we ease into exercise, and how can we make it fun? Alrighty, so time for our next poll question. So again, you'll see the poll question pop up on your screen, but take your best guess of who is the first person you should talk to before getting started with a new exercise routine. A, your personal trainer, B, your health coach, C, physical therapist, D, your doctor, or E, all of the above. This one may be a little bit trickier than the first question. Just a few more seconds here, and then we'll go ahead and close the poll. I see a lot of answers coming in. Good. Wonderful. We'll go ahead and close that poll. So we see a lot of us chose D, our doctor, and some of us chose E. And while both answers are kind of correct, the first person that you should talk to when we talk about thinking safety first is going to be your doctor. Alrighty, so after you know it's medically safe for you to exercise, then we might get in touch with a personal trainer or a physical therapist or even a health coach that might be helpful in determining a plan for progressing us forward safely through our routine and helping us stay motivated throughout. So you don't want to have finally started exercising and then get injured shortly afterwards from using poor form, exercising too intensely too soon, or doing exercises that are not necessarily appropriate for our medical condition or even our goals. So before getting started to exercise or beginning a new routine, it's always important to talk with your healthcare provider. This is especially important if you are pregnant, an older adult, or haven't been active lately. When you are first starting out, working with a professional can help ensure that you are exercising safely and limiting your risk of injury. A certified personal trainer or a licensed physical therapist can help you with this. A physical therapist can help you develop an exercise routine if you are recovering from an injury or maybe are aware of some muscle imbalances. For individuals who have existing injuries or imbalances, you can schedule a session with a personal trainer. Both of these professionals can teach you how to properly do exercises and structure an exercise session, helping you to develop a safe, well-rounded plan that you can continue to do on your own. Next is motivation. And motivation plays a role in our initial decision to start exercising and our daily decision to stick with it. Take a moment to think about your own life and why you want to exercise or are exercising. And you don't have to share that out loud, but just take a moment to reflect. So some people enjoy the act of exercising itself, but many people don't love exercising just for the sake of exercising. Instead, they may want to exercise to help them reach a goal such as losing weight, maybe lowering their blood pressure, completing a 5K, or even simply keeping up with their kids or grandkids. So when you find what you really care about, what really motivates you, go ahead and write that down. When you're struggling, you can look back at what motivates you and remember why you wanted to exercise in the first place. If you are a person who exercises in the morning, a good place for this list could be on your bedside table or next to your alarm clock. If you're an evening exerciser, you could keep this list in your exercise bag or in your wallet. Keep it in a place where you'll see it regularly and be reminded. So we already mentioned this a bit earlier, but it's so important that it deserves its own slide here. So when you are first starting out, it may be really easy to work out at a high intensity or to match what you see other people doing at the gym or on TV. But it's important to listen to your body and really ease into things. Doing too much too soon can often lead to injuries, which may even set us back further. Plus, it could even just discourage us if we find activities too difficult for us at this point in our fitness journey. Research summarized in the Physical Activity Guidelines states you can decrease your risk of injury when starting a new exercise simply by decreasing the gap between your current activity level and your new activity level. So you don't have to jump in. If it's been a while since we've been exercising, we don't have to start off the bat training for a marathon, right? Start with activities that are appropriate for your current fitness level, not activities that you eventually want to be able to do. A physical therapist or personal trainer can help you determine what your current fitness level is and how to get started. One approach to easing into exercise is to be starting with 10-15-minute blocks. of exercise each day and slowly increase in time and intensity over the next few weeks. For example, go from 15 minutes to 20 minutes to 30 minutes and so on. But do the same with intensity. Start at an intensity that's fairly easy for you and gradually increase from there until you find yourself getting more and more conditioned. Finally, when getting started, it's especially important to be doing something that you enjoy and may even find fun. So choose something that you like to do and that you can physically do. If you enjoy being outside, consider maybe walking, running, or hiking when the weather is nice. If you enjoy moving to the beat of the music, try a group fitness class that is focused on dancing or building strength by moving to the beat. If you like competition and grew up playing sports, it's not too late to get back on a team. Many communities have leagues that you can play other adults in sports such as basketball, flag football, soccer, etc. Or exercising with a friend can help pass the time quicker and offer some friendly competition, whether you're playing sports, weightlifting, or simply just jogging. It's also important to try a variety of activities when you're starting out. So that way you can find the ones that you like best. Once you've found a few favorites, create an exercise routine that incorporates those activities. Keeping variety in your routine will help you to avoid getting bored and injuring yourself from overuse. If you get tired of certain exercises after a while, also know that it's okay to change your mind and switch things up. You don't need to be stuck in the same few types of exercise for the rest of your life. When you're trying to make exercise a habit, getting started is only the first step. Once exercise is no longer new to you, but you still haven't been doing it long enough to quite make it a habit, it's important to find things to help you stay on track and keep your routine consistent. So in the next few slides, we're going to cover some things that can help you get in the groove and stick with your exercise routine for the long haul. We'll cover working towards a goal, planning ahead, telling our friends and family members, and ways that we can track our progress. So whether you want to get fit or stay fit, everyone can benefit from working towards a specific fitness goal. Having a specific goal in mind gives us direction to our workouts, allows us to shape them in a way that will help you get closer to your goal, and helps keep us focused and committed over time. Setting a detailed goal for ourselves is important. Once you have done that, write it down. If possible, try to make it a SMART goal, adding details to make it specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Be specific about what you want to achieve and be realistic about what you can accomplish in the time that you have given yourself. Try to make your goals focused on the process or the actions that you'll be taking to achieve your results instead of making them outcome focused. So this allows you to better track your progress over time. So for example, if your goal is to improve your fitness or lose weight, that would be considered an outcome focus. What are these specific actions you will take to get there? Exercise would definitely be a way to reach this larger goal, but what type of exercise and how many days per week and for how long? So a process or action-focused goal could be to jog at a local park for 30 minutes, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This specific goal will give you something tangible that you can do and measure, and over time, it will help you achieve that longer desired outcome. Once you've started with an exercise routine, an important part of staying consistent is planning ahead so that you know when, where, and how you will be exercising ahead of time. Work within the constraints of your schedule and your preferences. If you're tired after work or work evening, then perhaps a morning workout would be a better option than exercising after work. Or conversely, if it takes you a while to get up in the morning, or maybe your mornings are busy spent getting the kids off to school, then perhaps working out during your lunch break or after work would be better. So find a time of day and location that works for you. You can even schedule exercise appointments on your calendar or on your phone to remind you of your plans to help keep you on track. Part of planning ahead is also coming up with a game plan for overcoming any roadblocks that you may encounter along the way. We all experience roadblocks from time to time, no matter how good our intentions are. So brainstorm things that could possibly get in the way of your healthy behaviors or plans, and develop a plan for handling them when they do come up. In case you forget to set an alarm for your morning workout, maybe a backup would be to bring our sneakers to work and walk during your lunch break. If we have to travel for a few days, this is a really common one, maybe we try to choose a hotel that has a gym, or choose from your favorite YouTube workout and work out in your room instead. Another great option for traveling is to combine tourism with fitness by walking or running around and getting to know the town you're visiting. Armed with a plan, you'll know exactly what to do to move past those potential roadblocks and continue practicing your healthy habits without falling out of your routine. Social support can make a huge difference in how well we stay on track once we adopt a new routine. Recruit a family member or a friend to be an accountability partner. Tell them to check in with you from time to time and ask how things are going. This will help motivate you to stay on track, and you don't want to report back that things haven't been progressing as much as you hoped. We'll be less likely to skip out on the workout if you have someone counting on you. A better option could be that you find someone to help keep you accountable and is interested in working out with you. Working out with a friend or family member can make exercise more fun, and we can offer each other support and encouragement as you practice healthy exercise habits together. We could also consider exploring meeting new fitness-focused friends to help keep you accountable and add some fun to your routine. You can consider joining a local running club or attending exercise classes, or even taking part in a community boot camp to meet some like-minded individuals and bond over your exercise interests. Many communities or businesses offer these activities for free or at a reduced community rate. The next tip for staying consistent is tracking our progress. So our third and final poll here is, which of the following can be used to track progress towards our fitness goal over time? So A, wearable, B, smartphone app, C, journal, D, calendars, or E, all of the above. So again, this might be a little bit of an easier question here. Another couple seconds here as folks vote. So again, which of the following can be used to track progress towards our fitness goals over time? Wonderful. We'll go ahead and close that poll here. And it looks like just about all of us, 95% of us actually had selected A, all of the above, E, all of the above. So this again was kind of a trick question here. All of these can be used. It's just a personal preference of which works best, right? Especially in today's age, we're often told that we cannot be successful with our fitness goals unless we have the latest wearable watch or the latest fitness app. But really, any of them can work. It's just a matter of personal preference. So this is another way that we can keep motivated and accountable over time, is by tracking our progress. By quantifying and documenting our exercise duration, intensity, and frequency, we can better see trends and our fitness level improving over time. Tracking and monitoring also allows us to see our progress as we get closer to that fitness goal. As we mentioned, technology has made it particularly easy to track our exercise. Wearable activity trackers and smartphone apps often track our activity and steps, active minutes, etc. for us. But if you prefer, pen and paper works just as well. Marking the calendar on the days you exercise, noting what exercise you did and for how long. You can start simply just by placing a check mark on your calendar on the days that you exercise. You get a small victory by being able to add that check mark over time. You'll be able to see all of your check marks looking at past months. You have a visual of your hard work and consistency that you've achieved. To take it a step further, you could start an exercise journal, documenting how you felt after exercise and what you enjoyed about it. Looking at this later could just motivate you to get moving on a day that you're feeling discouraged. So next is how we will use the tips that we just discussed in planning a routine. One easy way to plan a routine is to print out a blank calendar and add exercises that you enjoy to your schedule based on your interests, goals, and fitness levels. Once you have things figured out, you can schedule your workouts in your phone or mail calendar as a reminder. Choose times and exercises and locations that work for you. The weekly plans displayed here are only for example. Your own plan should be personalized to you. When you're starting out, if you can only fit in 2 or 3 days per week, that's still great since that's what currently works for you. Don't feel compelled to add something to your plan just because a friend or a family member is doing it. Also, just as a reminder to add variety to your plan. If you are interested, there is a downloadable handout, again, that is available on the towards the bottom of your GoToWebinar menu there that has a blank weekly calendar view in there for you to fill in on your own. Another great resource for planning an exercise routine provided by the National Institutes of Health is the Activity Planner. You can select activities to add to a weekly plan. You can also see how close your plan is to meeting the national guidelines and recommendations. You can find this by searching online or using the link located on the bottom of the screen here. As a reminder, don't forget that Healthy at Hopkins portal has a step tracker, a cardio and strength tracker, plus exercise plans and routines waiting just for you. So we're wrapping things up here. So regular exercise provides us with many benefits to our health and well-being, including reducing our chronic disease risk over time. I hope that some of you may be ready to get started with a routine of your own, or at least considering adding more activity into your current lifestyle. It may seem tough to get started and stay consistent with your workouts over time, but it is possible with a little planning, preparation, positive reinforcement, and even social support. Remember the main points from today when moving forward and starting your own routine. We will go ahead and open it up for questions at this time. If any of you have questions, I have seen some come in throughout the webinar today. Feel free to send those my way utilizing the chat feature or the questions feature. So I do see a question about heart rate ranges, and this is a really common one, so I will just speak to this. Typically, it's hard to provide a specific recommendation with such a large group, so I'm going to give the general recommendations. How we determine our heart rate range is we take 220 minus your age. That number gives you your maximum heart rate. So this is if you are going 100% all out, hard to breathe, your heart is pumping, working really hard. That is your maximum heart rate. So again, that is 220 minus your age. We take that number, 100% maximum heart rate, and we, figure out what intensity level we should be working at for moderate intensity activity. That's going to be 50% to 70%. So we take that number, times it by 0.5 or 0.7, to figure out what our intensity level is going to be for our vigorous intense activities, that is going to be 80% and above. So take that, your maximum heart rate times 0.8. That kind of can give you a ballpark of where our heart rate should be for those different activity ranges. So for moderate, it's going to be 50 to 70%. For intensity, for high intensity exercise, it's going to be closer to 80% or above. Do you have any other questions coming in? Wonderful. I don't see any other questions coming in. I will stay on for another couple of minutes, but I do know it is past 1 o'clock now, and I want to be mindful of your time. So thank you all very much. You are free to go. If you do have any questions or anything, please feel free to send my way or to email healthy@hopkins@jhmi.